So most watch companies have like 1 or 2 releases a year. Grand Seiko, on the other hand, seem to drop a new batch of watches every time an employee takes a walk outside and sees a leaf or a tree or a bug. So stop it, Grand Seiko. Get some help. We need to talk about other watches too, you know? Hey guys, I'm Max and this is Watch Crunch. So Grand Seiko loves special editions, right? And this episode was inspired by a thread on watchcrunch.com on this very topic. So recently they released the same watch in 2 dial colors. What was funny was the blue one was limited and priced at $7,500 and the unlimited black dial was priced at $8,900. Now, if this seems strange to you, you're not alone. I mean, shouldn't the limited watch cost more? Now, our theory is that this is Grand Seiko's way of rewarding their frequent customers by offering them limited edition watches, but let me know in the comments if you have an alternative explanation for this. Anyhow, in this video, let's look at 2 of my favorite limited edition Grand Seikos recently, both from the SBGW line, but much more than just the same watch with different dials, they actually differ in almost every way when you take a closer look. Grand Seikos often come with grand stories, and the SBGW277 is no exception. Dedicated to the Genbi Valley, this watch is said to evoke the lush foliage of Iwate Prefecture's stunning scenery. Now, there were 3 watches in this collection, each limited to 140 pieces, and all in the shades of green and blue. As with most Grand Seikos, the highlight has got to be the dial. Now, I had the hardest time finding the best way to describe this color, but after a quick visit to the paint section at my local hardware store, I think it lands somewhere between a mossy green and a sage. And the color changes as you rotate the watch, going from a silvery and cool green to a more sort of deep and saturated green. And this texture can be best appreciated under a macro lens. It's said to mimic a type of Japanese printmaking for portraits where mica powder is added to the backdrop to give more sparkle and depth. Now, to me, it just looks like someone superglued a burlap sack, albeit a very pretty and unique burlap sack. Over that dial, we get dolphin-shaped hands that are beveled down the center, and they point at precisely cut and polished batons, doubled up at the 3, 6, 9, and 12. Now, this watch is a direct descendant of the SBGW231, a classic cream dial that we got a few years ago and that cemented these near perfect 37mm proportions. That watch was endearingly named the Seiko Trava for a reason, and I think it's a smart move for Grand Seiko to build off of that base and fire off different color dials from it. You know, I don't even mind if they're inspired by birds in the spring or leaves in the fall or moose eyebrows during mating season, whatever you want to call it. I feel like Grand Seiko is using this line to compete with the likes of Rolex Oyster Perpetuals. The formula seems to be similar, right? A basic watch, no complications, towards the cheaper end of their catalog, a watch that's distilled down to the essence of the brand in a palette of eye-catching colors. The OP is, of course, the more sporty one, especially with its higher water resistance, whereas the SBGW is the more elegant counterpoint with dressy vintage vibes like a fully polished case and drilled lug holes. Now guys, please take a second and drop a like for this video. I'm also working on a video based on a watch from a summer blockbuster movie. I think you'll enjoy it. Let's just say, make sure you're subscribed so you stay on the highway to the danger zone. So a common criticism for Grand Seiko is that they're long on dials, but sometimes short on case and bracelet design. But once you pick up the SBGW289, you realize that things have changed. This one, limited to a more generous 1,200 pieces, pulls from the styling of the 44GS case. The 44GS was launched in 1967 and was the first watch by Grand Seiko that really solidified the brand's design language. Its grammar of design emphasized the use of flat, two-dimensional surfaces to reflect light. For lugs, we get large, flat, polished mirrors done in the Zaratsu technique. And these geometric slabs, they intersect each other at varying angles, creating a strong and assertive aesthetic. I mean, just look at this thin but purposefully brushed band that separates the top and the bottom of the midcase. And even the bezel forms an angle instead of dropping straight down. All of this character allows the 289's 36.5mm case to wear confidently and with wrist presence. And it's also good to see that Grand Seiko is continuing to make incremental improvements on their bracelets. But it's still hard to excuse the lack of micro adjustments at this level. Through the display caseback found on the 277, we glimpse the well-tested 9S64 movement, which draws on Seiko's micro-electromechanical systems, or MEMS technology, to create lighter and more precise components. This allows the 24 joule 4 Hz movement to eke out an impressive 3 full days of power. Accuracy is also respectable at +5 to -3 a day. Visually, it's also pretty easy on the eyes, with dramatic striping on the large bridges, which is impregnated with rubies, and immaculate finishing along all of its edges. Now, one knock on these watches is that at 12mm, they're not especially thin for dress pieces. The 277 sports a domed sapphire, and the 289 has a more flat profile for the crystal. But somehow these proportions just work. And on the wrist, the green watch with this more bulbous crystal feels like a river rock, rounded and solid, and quite a bit less dainty than some of its dressy Swiss counterparts. Now, going back to the dial of the 289, this was quite pink in press photos, and maybe that'd be the case if you were, say, lost in a forest of cherry blossoms, but in real life, the pink is much more subtle. The color is said to be dedicated to the sakura blossoms in early spring in the north of Japan, where they might briefly get a dust of snow. Yeah, I rolled my eyes too. I would say it's like a fluffy white with a blush of pink, not unlike the Four Seasons SBGA413, only appearing pink at certain angles and in certain lighting conditions. Microscopically, the texture looks very similar to the 277, but in this color it appears more papery, like something from a fancy stationery store. We also get a pink gold GS logo and thinner and flatter hands than the 277. The hour markers are also single batons that are flat on their top surface to match the hands. So what I didn't expect is that these two watches from the same line released months apart are just so different when you look closely. On the wrist, the 289 with its angular case and metal bracelet feels a lot sportier, whereas the 277 with that mossy green dial and the brown crocodile strap feels more dressy. It just makes you realize that Grand Seiko isn't just stamping these out and fitting them with different dials. They're really putting thought into each one. But does that justify the whole special edition silliness? What do you think? Let us know and join the discussion on watchcrunch.com. I'll leave a link in the pinned comments below. As always, stay crunchy. I'll see you in the next one.